all good, Scott. It's all good. Everybody's busy, man. Busy, busy, busy. It's good to see you, though. Hopefully, you've been busy with good stuff. That is the hope. Tonight, we are continuing on with the Book of Giants, which has been really good stuff. So this is what, part 6, I believe, of the Book of Giants. We're going to wait 5 minutes or so until everybody rolls in. So if you're watching this later, we have a Discord. There's a link to the Discord pinned to the top of the live chat. There's a link to the Discord in the description of the video. We just hang out there mostly. People talk about smart people stuff and things like that. It's a good time. Theology, Bible, spirituality, all that good stuff happens in the Discord. We have a number of live streams every week. Thursday is something outside of the Bible. So whether that is a Mesopotamian text like we did recently, or something like this, where we are talking about the Book of Giants, that is on Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time. That is on this YouTube channel at Live Bible Study. On Sunday is canonical text. We're reading through the Bible chronologically. Right now, we just finished Genesis. We're starting Job on Sunday. And then Tuesday is a live topic discussion based on a poll that I have not posted this week because, as usual, I am way behind. So I will post that. But last week we did Gnosticism 101, which was interesting. And I had some things to think about due to the conversation, which was even more interesting and made an eventful week for me. Oh, good. We just got out of fragments last week. So we have some clean reading, at least for a while, at least for a short while. Hey, Ghost. Oh, let me get Discord going. And then I had to mess with audio again, so you guys got to let me know if anything is wrong. It sounded okay as I was playing with it, though. Tampa's here. Oops. Whoops. There we go.
Your levels sound good, Joe.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I gotta throw this thing in Discord. There's a couple of scholars who, and it costs money, but some of them are cheap, but there's a handful of scholars who have really taken to the social media world. And so they've set up like Patreons and their own websites, and they'll do courses on things for very cheap, like college level courses for $100, $50, stuff like that. I need to throw some of that in Discord. It's pricey, but it's cheaper than.
I mean, it's cheaper than college.
Right, exactly. And it's there, and it's a lot of guys who are like very disgruntled with higher education. So they're kind of like intentionally undercutting the college, which I like the idea of supporting.
I like that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'll gather a handful of them and put them in there.
So, I mean, I'm assuming they are taken from like scholarly literature that you can't necessarily get.
Or is really expensive. Yeah. So that's one thing they'll talk about a lot is that they publish these books, and the publisher, because it's scholarly work, will give them 5%, and they'll charge $180 for the book. And he's like, okay, well, I'll charge $80, and I'll teach you everything in the book, and I'll give you a PDF version of it. So it's a good.
I can see someone trying to make that illegal.
Right. Yeah. Eventually, you would think, for sure. David. Good evening to my heroes. What a great entrance. All right, I'm just going to roll because we left off at a good place. We had just finished some fragments And I think we're transitioning into the next larger section. So, verse 21 in Enoch. All the children of men shall become righteous, and all the nations shall offer adoration and shall praise me, and all shall worship me. And the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment. And I will never again send another flood from this generation to all generations and forever. Chapter 11, verse 1. And in those days I will open the storehouse of blessings in heaven, and rain down blessings on the earth, and over the work and labor of the children of men. Now they've got Malachi 3:10 in the good old KJV. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. Back to Enoch. Truth and peace shall be united throughout all the days of the world, and throughout all the generations of men. Ruth. Oh, Cat even. Look at Cat even. Good old tenacious thorn. Noah would have had a manifest. I feel like you're doing a play on words, but I'm not smart enough to grasp it, so I apologize. Then Enoch disappeared, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden and where he abode. Genesis 5:21. And Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Back to Enoch now. And what had become of him? And his activities were with the holy ones and the watchers. Lovely fragment. So it begins with missing text to Enoch, the noted scribe, and he will interpret for us the dream. Thereupon his fellow Ohia declared and said to the giants, I too had a dream this night, O giants. And behold, the ruler of heaven came down to earth, and then we're missing text. And such is the end of the dream. Great, missing substantial content. Thereupon all the giants and monsters grew afraid and called Mahweh. He came to them, and the giants pleaded with him, and sent him to Enoch, the noted scribe. They said to him, Go, missing text, to you that, missing text, you have heard his voice. And he said to him, He will, missing text, and interpret the dreams of which we are missing. And then another additional fragment here begins with missing text, how long the giants have to live, and then ends with missing text. And then we go back to Enoch. And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of majesty and the King of the ages. And lo, the watchers called me, Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, you scribe of righteousness, go tell the watchers of heaven, who have left the high heaven, the holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken to themselves wives. You have done great destruction on the earth, and you shall have no peace nor forgiveness of sin. Since they delight themselves in their children, they shall see the murder of their beloved ones, and the destruction of their children shall, and they shall lament, and shall make supplication forever. You will receive neither mercy or peace. And then there is an author's note, which reads, although we are led to believe the fallen angels are loathsome and evil, they loved and adored their children. Further, it was not the angels that became the demons, it was their children, whose spirits were evil and could not be killed. And then we're going back to the Book of Giants here, and it is heavily fragmented. Enoch wasn't on the ark, Ghost said. What was your comment? Ruth? Oh, Kat said, I'm starting a petition for making Joe say MERP instead of missing text. Who's with me? The Book of Enoch wasn't written by Enoch. I don't think any scholars believe that. No, not that I'm aware of. They do not. Tenacious. Then who knew what Enoch said? If it wasn't for knowledge of the pure blood Noah. Well, I mean, the reality is like, if you were to count how many books in the Bible are somebody's name, which is the vast majority of them, that were actually written by that person, I think the count is 0. Unless I'm missing an odd 1 or 2. But like, there's no reason to believe the Gospels were written by men of that name. And I think it goes for most of the Old Testament as well, the prophetic work and everything else. Like, I don't know any scholars who believe Job wrote Job. I'm sure they exist. If I'm wrong, somebody feel free to throw it in my face, but you don't get a voice. Okay? This is very different from our ultimate God pantheon. Well, that is true. Enoch, the most fascinating man in biblical text. He's pretty fascinating. That's fair. Ruth said, you got to admit that this gives so much more clarity and explanation than the Old Testament by itself. That's true. But I think more than anything, this gives you so much clarity and explanation to a lot of the Old Testament. Even if it's not literally true in every possible way, it still adds valid context. Just like a good example is like the Book of Thomas, because we've been talking about a lot of this stuff recently. The Book of Thomas, the Book of Judas, the Gospel of Judas, these are, love them or hate them, inspired or not, who cares? They add like valid context to the rest of the New Testament, even if it's all garbage. It adds historical context, cultural context, interpersonal context. Like it's very interesting to get a broader understanding, even if it's fiction. It broadens the context. It broadens your ability to actually grasp it, and it's very interesting. Merp or he could burp. I don't have that skill. I knew some kids who had that skill. I lack it. I know what you meant, David. Heidi, shalom, peace, and blessings. Hi, Heidi. Well, thanks for being here. Matthew, aka Levi. Possibly, right? Not for sure. I'm not for sure, I guess I'll say, but I'm the cynic in the room. I don't believe Luke was written by Luke, and I don't believe John was written by John. That information is out there. I in no way subscribe to it, because a lot of other information is out there too. I don't think we have a real valid reason to believe that, personally. But again, I'm the cynic, and I'm the odd man out. Because the validation just isn't there. Like if you were to write me a page of why you believe those men, and to be clear, you could, like, there's 2 arguments. John, who is on the book of John, that John specifically wrote the Gospel of John. That is one. The other is that some guy named John who knew that John wrote John. Maybe. I don't see anywhere in like early history where I would be convinced of that. I don't think there's enough corroborating evidence. But you can say that about anything. So it's not like I'm not picking on them. I say that about most things. Like we lack substantial corroboration for most things, like the majority, more than 50%. So I don't mean to pick on that aspect or that topic or anything. I believe it about most things. But again, I am the cynic, and I am the odd man out in most of these rooms. Cat has a lizard.
I need to get her butt in here so I can take her home, but her butt is on the way out. You want to see?
Oh my God. Ghost of the Book of Revelation was written by Jonathan P. Revelation. Ultimate God Pantheon, we need reason to war. Encyclic Pantheon, it is part of the Dhamma to war for no cause at all. I must have missed something there. King said, Enoch, if what I think is true, does help me understand spiritual warfare and all that stuff. I mean, it at least paints a picture, right? Even if it's not literally true, it paints an interesting picture for humans to conceptualize something that is potentially out of our conception. The same thing I say about Genesis. I don't think any of that happened at all. literally. I think it was it's a story to help us visualize something that is otherwise hard to conceptualize and understand. But that's just me. That is why we cannot have... I definitely missed something. Heidi said, I have a copy of the Dead Sea Scrolls in English by Dr. Pegan, Great Torah and Tanakh and New Testament, 87 books, and all very good. That does sound very good. That sounds very good. Good for you for reading more, I guess. Good for you. That's great. Scott said, there's nothing wrong with being a skeptic. I'm all about questioning and learning. I was just curious about your reasoning. Well, I am going through all of that stuff right now. So on YouTube, I've been like breaking down biblical topics, and I'm going to keep doing that for the foreseeable future because it's where all of my time is going now. So I did like contradictions in the Gospels. I did the added ending to Mark. I did a section of Corinthians where we have old manuscripts that have 34 and 35 out of chapter 14 in different orders, including Marcion's, which is in a third order. And then I just did, but it's not up, something on the virgin birth, looking at the Hebrew translation from Isaiah, compared with the Matthew reference to Isaiah, and talking about the translation that is potentially an issue. So I will definitely get to those because I don't want to like totally hijack this for that, but I'll definitely do it. I'll explain why I sit where I sit for sure. All right, I'm going to read some more. So we're at the Book of Giants now. For anybody who has not been with us, this is the Book of Giants. So obviously it's not in the canon. It's different in that right now we're in the Enoch section. So this is the Book of Enoch. But what they've done is they've written in the Book of Giants. So you'll see clean text, that's Enoch. And then you'll see a lot of this fragmented text, and it'll go back and forth because it's pulled in and written in the Book of Giants into the Book of Enoch to try to show how they parallel or how they would fit. So the next fragment begins with missing text. And then it says, he, the Nephilim, mounted up in the air like strong winds and flew with his hands like eagles. He left behind the inhabited world and passed over desolation, the great desert, and then we're missing a chunk. And Enoch saw him and hailed him. And Mahweh said to him, missing text, hither and thither, a second time to Mahweh. And then we're missing the giants, Merp. The giants await your words, and all the monsters of the earth, if, missing text, has been carried, missing, from the days of, Merp, missing, they're missing, and they will be added, missing a decent chunk there. We would know from their meaning, and then we're missing text, 200 trees that from heaven came down, and then it concludes with more missing text. A second fragment from the Book of Giants. The scribe Enoch, missing, a copy of the second tablet that Enoch sent, chunk of missing, and the very handwriting of Enoch, the noted scribe, chunk missing, in the name of God, the great and holy one, to Shemyaza and all his companions, missing text, let it be known to you that not, missing, and the things you have done, and that your wives, unfortunately, were missing, they and their sons and the wives of their sons, missing text, by your licentiousness on the earth. And there has been upon you, missing, and the land is crying out and complaining about you and the deeds of your children, missing text, the harm that you have done to it. Next sentence starts with missing, until Raphael arrives. Behold, destruction is coming, a great flood, and it will destroy all living things. And whatever is in the desert and the seas, and the meaning of the matter, missing text, upon you for evil. But now loosen the bonds binding you to evil, missing text, and pray. Fragment 7 now, so still Book of Giants, is beginning with a chunk of missing text. Great fear seized me, and I fell on my face. I heard his voice, and then we're missing a decent chunk. He dwelt among human beings, but did not learn from them. Missing text. And now the Book of Jubilees, chapter 5, verse 1. When the children of men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, and the angels of God saw them on a certain year of this Jubilee, that they were beautiful, and that they took themselves wives of all whom they chose. and they gave birth to sons, and they were giants. Because of them, lawlessness increased on the earth, and all flesh corrupted its way. Men and cattle and beasts and birds and everything that walked on the earth were all corrupted in their ways and their orders, and they began to devour each other. Lawlessness increased on the earth, and the imagination and thoughts of all men were continually, totally evil. God looked on the earth and saw it was corrupt, and all the flesh had corrupted its order, and all that were on the earth had committed all manners of evil before his eyes. He said that he would destroy man and all flesh on the face of the earth that he had created. But Noah found grace before the eyes of the Lord, and against the angels whom he had sent on the earth. He had boiling anger, and he gave commandment to root them out of all their dominion. And he commanded us to bind them in the depths of the earth. And look, they are bound in the middle of the earth and are kept separate. There's Ghost's line right there. And against their sons went out a command from his mouth that they should be killed with the sword and be left under heaven. He said, my spirit shall not always abide on man, for they also are flesh, and their days shall be 120 years. Then, quote from Yesher 4:17, every man made to himself a god, and they robbed and plundered every man his neighbor as well as his relative, and they corrupted the earth. And the earth was filled with violence. And their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men and took their wives by force from their husbands according to their choice. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the air, and taught the mixture of animals in one species with the other, in order therewith to provoke the Lord. And God saw the whole earth, and saw it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways on earth, all men and all animals. And the Lord said, I will blot out man that I created from the face of the earth, yea, from man to the birds of the air, together with cattle and beasts that are in the field, for I repent that I made them. All men who walked in the ways of the Lord died in those days, before the Lord brought the evil on man, which he had declared. For this was from the Lord, that they should not see the evil which the Lord spoke of concerning the sons of men. And Noah found grace in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord chose him and his children to raise up offspring on the face of the whole earth. And that concludes the additions. So now they're pulling you back to Enoch chapter 13. Oh, geez. I am not even going to attempt to catch up. It looks hot. All right, chapter 13, back in Enoch. And Enoch went and said, Azazel, you shall have no peace. A severe sentence has been passed against you that you should be bound. And you shall not have rest or mercy, toleration, nor request granted, because of the unrighteousness which you have taught, and because of all the works of the godlessness. What are you doing?
Babysit for like 5 minutes.
Are you serious?
No.
Girl, you're killing me.
Love you.
Okay. Love you. And the unrighteousness and sin which you have shown to men. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they asked me to write a petition for them, that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven. They had been forbidden to speak with him, nor were... Wait, what? Yeah, they had been forbidden to speak with him, nor were they to lift up their eyes to heaven for shame of their sins, because they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition, and the prayer in regards to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regard to the requests, that they should obtain forgiveness and forbearance. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan. To the southwest of Hermon, I read their petitions until I fell asleep. And I had a dream, and I saw a vision of their chastisement. And a voice came to me that I would reprove them. And when I awoke, I came to them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping in, Abesjail, Ghost, Abelsjail, Abesjail? I'm not sure.
I have no clue.
Okay, well that at least makes me feel better. Abezgel. I'm not sure. If anybody knows, please.
We'll go with that.
It's
Sounds right.
good enough. Which is between Lebanon and Seneser, with their faces covered. So let me read that again, because we had to pause. So what it said was, and when I awoke, I came to them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping in Abezgel, which is between Lebanon and Seneser, with their faces covered. And I recounted to them all the visions which I had seen when I was asleep. And I began to speak in the words of righteousness and to reprimand heavenly watchers. This is the book of the words of righteousness and the reprimand of the eternal watchers in accordance with the command of the Holy Great One. In that vision I saw in my sleep. What I will now say, with a tongue of flesh and with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given men to speak with and to understand with the heart, as he has created and given to man the power of understanding the word of wisdom, so he has created me also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of heaven. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared that your petition will not be granted to you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed on you. How do you say, where the fallen angels' sons the giants, or the fallen angels' sons the giants? Did I miss something on that too? There are two Enoch. Yes. Heidi is positive. I like Heidi. Heidi, I hope you stay around. From whence most mistakes about religion have their spring and origin, we may find them laid in humane wisdom. Explain more. Yahweh is so awesome, he sent Enoch, a man, to punish the watchers for defiling mankind. Must have made them furious. That's a great comment. That is a fantastic take. In the midst of all this, you guys are on one. I just said in the land of Lebanon, the fallen angels had sons, and they are the giants. Gotcha. Okay. Yes. I must have misread your last one. I apologize. Okay. So, where are we at here? 8. In the vision, I saw clouds that invited me and summoned me into a mist, and the course of the stars and the flashes of lightning, and hurried me and drove me. And the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me up and bore me into heaven. And I went in until I drew near to a wall, which was built out of crystals and surrounded by tongues of fire. And it began to frighten me. I went into the tongues of fire and drew near a large house, which was built of crystals. And the walls of the house were like a mosaic of hailstone, and the floor was made of crystals like snow. Now you've got Revelation 4:6. And before the throne there was a sea of glass, like unto crystal. In the midst of the throne, and round about the throne, were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind. Then Revelation 21:10 says, and he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and shewed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. And her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Now back to Enoch. Says, its ceiling was like the path of the stars and lightning flashes, and between them were fiery cherubim. Their sky was clear as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its doors blazed with fire. I entered that house, and it was hot as fire, and cold as ice. There was no pleasure or life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling got hold of me. As I shook and trembled, I fell on my face. And I saw a vision, and lo, there was a second house, greater than the first. And all the doors stood open before me, and it was built of flames of fire. And in every respect, it was splendid and magnificent to the extent that I cannot describe it to you. Its floor was of fire, and above it was lightning and the path of the stars. And its ceiling also was flaming fire. And I looked and saw a throne set on high. Its appearance was like crystal, and its wheels were like a shining sun. And there was the vision of the cherubim. 1 Timothy 6:16, who only hath immortality, dwelling in the light which no man can approach unto, whom no man hath seen, nor can see, to whom be honor and power everlasting. Amen. Back to Enoch. What does that say? The watchers were angels who were sent to steward, watch, guide humankind. Instead, they lusted after women and taught us magic and other terrible things that God did not wish for us. It's a good little synopsis there. Internet friends, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Ruth, you're the best. Yeah, do YouTube stuff, please. It helps us get people like you. Jethro. The angels were given eternity from the beginning of their creation, which is why it says hell was designed for the devil and his angels. The human invention of transferring the weekly Sabbath from the seventh day to the first day of the week has wholly inverted this established order. Hey, bub. Oh, you want the snake here, baby? Okay. You take that guy. All right, there you go, baby. Thank you. She's got to unwrap my fingers there, girl.
Don't let her go into the chair. That will have a bad night.
Yeah, that would be a bad time. The non sequiturs are crazy tonight. Who opened the floodgates? I do. If you don't understand the Christ oil in the human body, you will never understand understand the Bible. If you want to rewrite that or give more context, I am interested. You have piqued my interest. Nunya beeswax. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff here tonight. Ooh, you have lots of tattoos. Yes, valid. Valid point. I do. Joshua commanded the sun to stand still. How does something that doesn't move stand still? Pure blood. With a philosophical-ish question. That's Hinduism. What is Hinduism? Anyways, all right, we're going back to Enoch. It's verse 19. And from underneath the throne came rivers of fire, so that I could not look at it. And then it's... Oh, they're pulling this from third book of Enoch. The holy Sheath, carrying the throne of God from below. Each one uses only 3 fingers. The length of each finger is 800,000, and 700 times 100, and 66,000 parasangs. And underneath the feet of the Sheath, there are 7 rivers of fire running and flowing. Let me grab another translation here. You gotta get her, baby. You good? Okay. All right. I want to pull this verse up in regular people speak here. Careful there, girly. I love. How you do? The sheep and the goats. 25 through 25:31. 25:31. All right, here we go. So 20 in Enoch first. And he who is great in glory sat on the throne, and his raiment shone more brightly than the sun and was whiter than the snow. And then it's Matthew 25:31, which says, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. Then we are back in Enoch here. Joseph the second. I am Joseph the first. I hope that is what that is in reference to. There is no Book of Giants. This is all extra biblical nonsense. There is. We're reading it. It does, in fact, exist. I don't know why you'd waste your time here, though, if that's how you feel. You probably have better things to be doing. Joseph the second.
Must be real fun at parties.
Being the second Joseph. Second to me. Sorry, Joseph. He says, lol, no. Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, well, thank you, Heidi. She's very sweet most of the time. Are you reading the third book of Enoch? No, there was just a small section from it. So this is kind of an aggregated text. This is, for anybody who joined in the past 10 minutes, this is titled the Book of Giants, but it's an aggregation of Enoch, canonical texts, and fragments of the Book of Giants. So what they've done in the section that we're reading right now is it reads as the Book of Enoch as the underlying foundation. On top of it, it's layering in canonical texts, it's layering in other bits of Enoch's, and it's layering in the Book of Giants to kind of show how it all fits in synchronicity of sorts. And no, nobody is claiming any of this is inspired or whatever. We just like to read stuff. So if you don't, then you're in the wrong place. So anyway, I was blasting. I missed whatever the blast was. Mikkel! There he is, the true OG. Christ's teaching was much after this manner of parables. The king made it. You are the king, Mikkel. Not to be confused with the other king who is also the king. Literally, because it's in his name. Back in Enoch now. Joseph II, real quick. I'm just saying, invite me on to show you that it has nothing to do with the scripture. Nobody said it does, Joseph. You're adding layers and layers of context that don't exist. We like to read old texts. It doesn't matter if it's fairy tale. This is nobody's making a claim here. If you hang around a bit, then you'll learn. We read the Epic of Gilgamesh. Nobody is saying that is a true story or something to live by. That's not what we do. It's Thursday. If you want that, come on Sunday. On Sunday, we read canonical texts that most of us agree are inspired. Thursday is extra canonical texts. So if you don't like that, then don't come on Thursday. But that's what we do. Anybody else who also has been hanging around, you should join Discord. There's a link to the Discord in the live chat pinned to the top. There's also a link in the description of the video. Whether you like this stuff or not, 98% of the group is Christian. They just like to read extra stuff. They like to learn broader. Discord is free. It will always be free. So you can click the link, you can join, you can come hang out, or you can go in there and tell us how wrong we are. I know several of us would probably like to talk about it because it's fun. And this is what we live for. Because I'll speak for me. This is what I live for because I have no life. I have a family and this. And I very much enjoy it. So that's why we read it. I doubt you read them correctly based on this. We're literally reading a book. So unless you're saying my pronunciation is off, which is valid, extremely valid, I'm literally reading a book by an author. We're not reading the raw scriptures. So it sounds like you're kind of just a disgruntled kind of guy. So you're probably not going to get along with us, if I had to guess. This is a book, my friend. You can make fun of me, because I will certainly pronounce things wrong. So once we get there, you'll have a field day, my friend. A valid field day. All the 14 books Rome removed was canon before, and in the Dead Sea Scrolls, Yeshua Jesus quoted from. See, I like Heidi. Heidi knows what's up. Heidi's like, I'm going to read all of it because I'm not pigeonholed into something that was shoved down the throats of everybody for a very long time, to the point where just everybody believed it. I like Heidi. Be like Heidi. Heidi's good stuff. Heidi, I hope you join Discord. I would love to have you back. I'm afraid of that trapdoor. Calm down, be humble, or get yeeted. Yeah, everybody nicely what's the word? Peer pressure Heidi into coming to Discord. Oh, she said she did. Okay. Well, good. Mission accomplished. All right, I'm going to keep reading a pretend book, and I'm going to keep reading it wrong to make Joseph II happy. This is back in Enoch now. This is verse 21 of a book that isn't real, and we are going to continue me reading it wrong. Love you, Joseph. None of the angels could enter or could behold his face because of the magnificence and glory, and no flesh could behold him. The sea of the fire surrounded him, and a great fire stood in front of him, and no one could draw close to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, but he needed no holy counsel. The most holy ones who were near to him did not leave night or day. And until then, I had been prostrate of my face, trembling, and the Lord called me with his own mouth and said to me, "Come here, Enoch, and hear my words." And one of the holy ones came to me, picked me up, and brought me to the door. And I bowed down my face. Chapter 15, verse 1. And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, "Do not be afraid, Enoch, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach and hear my voice. Go and say to the watchers of heaven, for whom you have come to intercede. You should intercede for men, and not men for you. Why and for what cause have you left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and had sex with women, and defiled yourself with the daughters of men, and taken to yourself wives, and done like the children of earth, and begotten giants as your sons?" Don't see the second complaining about what I said in this. Notice how Enoch bowed. To the very earth he walks on, the very essence from which he is made, the vessel for gnosis. Clutch, are you Gnostic? I feel like, weren't you making fun of us for reading? Or am I remembering? I don't want to put that on you if I'm wrong, but weren't you giving us crap about the Gnosticism thing earlier this week? Or was it last week? I don't remember, and I apologize if I'm mischaracterizing that. Wisdom which is of God, whose foundations is Jesus Christ and his word. I like pure blood too, because pure blood just kind of throws things out there that are well written. It's good stuff. I'm Graves' deputy, Barney David. I obviously missed something there too. All right. Verse 4. Though you were holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourself with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh. And as the children of men, you have lusted after flesh and blood, like those who die and are killed. This is why I have given men wives, that they might impregnate them and have children by them, that deeds might continue on the earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life, and immortal for all generations of the world. Therefore, I have not appointed wives for you. You are spiritual beings of heaven, and in heaven was your dwelling place. This is Luke 20:32, and I'm going to be kind and read a different version for the love of everybody's sanity. Sorry if you're KJV. Jesus replied, "The people of this age marry and are given in marriage." However, they added, where are they going to? Through 36. They did not annotate that properly. Jesus replied, "The people of this age marry and are given in marriage, but those who are considered worthy of taking part in the age to come and in the resurrection of the dead will neither marry nor be given in marriage. And they can no longer die, for they are like angels. They are God's children, since they are children of the resurrection." Your children's children. The Old Testament. In all ancient discoveries all over the world, we find giant statues and bones, mega buildings, and doors. Shruggy, sideways, purple girl with green hair, says Heidi. Yeah, some wild stuff's been found, for sure. That's for sure. Ghost has a good one here. Says, to the newer people in the chat, We are all here to examine both scripture and extra biblical texts to further understanding things in a larger context. It is not a competition. Learning never stops. Yes, to big ass doors. Yes, we read everything. Us reading something does not mean we are validating it or saying it is inspired or complaining about it not being canon. We just like to read stuff. So we read stuff. Thursday is read stuff day. Sunday is canon. So if you want strict Christian agreed upon canon, come Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time. And we will do this again. And we are reading the canon chronologically. We just finished Genesis. We're going to go into Job. But I'm sure even then people are going to argue with that. That's not the chronological order. It's the order of the stories of events agreed upon by most, but definitely not all. Because it's not nothing is simple if you live this Christian life. Nothing is simple. But that's what we're doing. Yes, good point. Thank you, Ghost. And Graves, good God. I have read The Cat in the Hat, but I don't think God has one. Right. That's actually a great example, and I hope I remember that for the next time this happens. Because that's very good. Yes. We read The Cat in the Hat, but I don't think God has one. King, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I hope you keep showing up. I know you're heavy on Discord, but it's nice to have you here. It really is. All right. And we're back in Enoch, and now we are on verse 9 of chapter 15. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits on the earth, and shall live on the earth. Evil spirits have come out from their bodies because they are born from men and from the holy watchers. Their beginning is of primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on the earth, and evil spirits shall be called spirits of the evil ones. Sounds fitting. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born on the earth shall be their dwelling. I actually want to reread that, so bear with me, sorry. It was verse 10. It said, they shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called spirits of the evil ones. As for the spirits of heaven, and heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, war, destroy. Wait, what? It really has destroy twice. Giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, war, destroy, and cause trouble on the earth. The reason I wanted to read that twice is because that actually, and it's probably just because I've been reading a lot of stuff lately, and then we did that thing on Tuesday, but it's got a materialistic kind of early Gnostic vibe to it there. I'll text this slow, see the thumb pointing up, just click it. I like how lovely David represents YouTube stuff that I don't. Thank you, David, for always having my back when I fail miserably at doing this. I appreciate it. Humbaba? Why is Heidi getting tied to Humbaba? Ah, never mind. I see. Heidi, you missed the Epic of Gilgamesh. But Humbaba will probably get brought up again, depending on how much more of the giants there is. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits of flesh, we already read. Here we are. No. What is happening? We read Luke.
You wanted to cover verse 10 again.
I did. No, and then I read it again, so we're good. So 11. Thank you. They take no food, but do not hunger or thirst. They cause offense, but are not observed. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women, because they have proceeded from them in the days of the slaughter and destruction. We then have an author's note, because again, we're not reading raw scripture. This is a book that a scholar put together. The author's note says, these are the evil spirits and the demons. They are the disembodied spirits of the offspring of angels and humans. Now the book of Jubilees. Because of these three things came the flood on earth, namely the fornication that the watchers committed against the law of their ordinance, when they went whoring after the daughters of men, and took themselves wives of all they chose, and they made the beginning of uncleanness. And they begat sons, the Nephilim, and they were all dissimilar. And they devoured one another, and the giants killed the Nephil, and the Nephil killed the Elhio, and the Elhio killed mankind. And one man killed one another. Everyone committed himself to crime and injustice, and to shed much blood. And the earth was filled with sin. After this, they sinned against the beasts and birds, and all that moved and walked on the earth. And much blood was shed on the earth. And the men continually desired only what was useless and evil. And the Lord destroyed everything from the face of the earth, because of the wickedness of their deeds, and because of the blood they had shed over all the earth. He destroyed everything. Chapter 16. And then let me get this verse ready for us. Matthew 8:28. They never do the full 8:28 through 29. Here we go. Okay, chapter 16. And at the death of the giants, spirits will go out and shall destroy without incurring judgment. Coming from their bodies, their flesh shall be destroyed until the day of the consummation, the great judgment, in which the age shall be consummated over the watchers and the godless, and shall be wholly consummated. Love the book of Jubilees. It's actually a really interesting book. Yeah. I have a hard time with the validity of it, but it's a super interesting read. It's thought-provoking, for sure. King said, something I was thinking about is how if you believe the Greek gods are fallen angels, it is consistent with gods like Zeus laying with women. Yeah, this is a whole conversation that I don't... Yes, it's super interesting. And even leave the Greeks and move into some of the other cultures, and you still have pretty astonishing similarities. The gods were indeed... I'm going to refrain from saying that. But yes, it did appear so. There's a lot of parallels to this story. Just like there's a lot of parallels to like the virgin birth, as another example. Genesis was inspired by the book of Jubilees. That's an interesting take. Actually, that's something I'll chew on a little bit. It's an interesting take. So then it becomes a matter of which was written first. And that's a tougher thing to deal with. Wait, this is Thursday, my bad? No, it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. YouTube has loosened things up quite a bit too, so it's totally fine. In the Hebrew Torah, or the Tanakh, Jubilees existed way before. Yes. I don't want to say more because I haven't looked at any of this in a long time. So I will keep my mouth shut. But I'm going to chew on that, and I'm going to do some looking because I don't remember, so I don't want to say much. But I'm glad you said that. The Jubilees is very interesting. It's a really, really interesting read. And now you give me something to absolutely think about. Pureblood said, first great sins of apostate angels. By method of temptation, the old serpent did use assaulting Eve and Adam by Eve, which was vain affection of creature knowledge, and of self-invented wisdom. Interesting. All animals weren't corrupted, were they? Oh, if all animals have corrupted their ways, how was there any clean animals to enter the ark? Yeah, I think Ghost Question is a valid one. But also what is... I don't want to go there. I chowed a lot in the last 10 years. Yeah, well, the chowing never ends, my friend. I swear. The one of my favorite like sayings is, the older I get, the more I realize, the less I know. The older I get, the more I learn, the more educated I become, the more stupid I feel. Just the dumber. Because then every step you take, you realize it's bigger than you thought. And it's bigger than you thought. And there's more than you thought. And it just expands and expands and expands to the point where, like, I know nothing about anything. I know nothing about anything. We are going to wrap up in about 10, 15 minutes. Just a heads up. King Field. Does that mean you feel what I'm saying? I don't know the lingo, bro. If nobody's told you, I'm extremely uncultured. Pureblood said, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. Doth most urgently declare that there is not a more miserable condition in the earth than that of atheists. I think that is a great take. Yes. That is a phenomenal take. Heidi is French? Your English is decent. I figured you are either younger, and so maybe spelling wasn't the best, or using a phone, and then typo happens. I honestly didn't even think that you were foreign, but that makes a lot of sense. We're glad to have you. Broaden our horizons. Heidi, the French lady that makes me think about things I haven't thought about in a long time. It's good stuff. Back to this, though. So chapter 16. Did I read that? Yes, I did. So now Matthew 8, 28 and 29. This is Jesus restoring two demon-possessed men. When he arrived at the other side in the region of the Gadarenes, two demon-possessed men coming from the tombs met him. They were so violent that no one could pass that way. What do you want with us, Son of God? They shouted. Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time? Back to Enoch. And now as to the watchers who have sent you to intercede for them, who had been in heaven before? Say to them, you were in heaven, but all the mysteries of heaven had not been revealed to you. And you knew worthless ones. And these, in the hardness of your hearts, you have made known to the woman. And through these mysteries, women and men work much evil on the earth. Say to them, therefore, you have no peace. Sounds kind of like what Pureblood was saying a minute ago. Genesis 6. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives, of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with men, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. When the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth. And it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I had made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. And then in chapter 17 in Enoch here. There is a theory, King said, I heard, where the human women were the only ones who were corrupted. Where does this theory originate from? But how does the animal wind up corrupted? Right, and what is corrupted? I think for me is like the bigger question. What is it? I feel like there's a delineation of sorts between unclean and corrupted. Ghost said, McKellar wondered the same thing. The Nephilim sinned against animals. I wonder if it's some kind of gene splicing or experimentation, forbidding mixing. Is that what it is? I've always taken it as something I don't want to say on YouTube. Anyone who learned the teachings of the Watchers of the Nephilim were corrupted. It was a gnosis thing. It's like insinuated by the law in the laws in Leviticus. Is it the same thing, though? That's kind of the question. All right, we're going to finish 17 and then probably call it a night. And they took me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire. And when they wished, they made themselves appear as men. They brought me to the place of darkness, and to a mountain, the point of whose summit reached to heaven. And I saw the lighted places and the treasures of the stars and of the thunder, and in the uttermost depths, where we, a fiery bow, an arrow, and their quiver, and a fiery sword, and all the lightning. And they took me to the waters of life, and to the fire of the west, which receives every setting of the sun. And I came to a river of fire, in which the fire flows like water into the great sea toward the west. I saw the great rivers, and came to the great darkness, and went to the place where no flesh walks. I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter, and the place from where all the waters of the deep flow. I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep. And yeah, that's a good stopping point. So we're going to stop right before 18. So we'll come back next week to 18. Again, reminder for anyone that is just joining us for the first time, or if you just wandered in here 5 seconds ago, we have Discord. There's a link to the Discord pinned to the live chat. It's also in the description of the video. We have an events page on Discord where you can see all of these live streams that we do. So tonight is the extra canonical stuff. On Sunday will be the book of Job, because we just finished Genesis. We're reading the Bible chronologically, start to finish. So it'll probably take us 10 years. And then on Tuesday, we do a topic discussion that is voted upon. So every week eventually, I post a poll, and whatever wins the poll is what we talk about. So we talked about Gnosticism last week. And then Saturday night, if we have enough people, we'll do a game night where you log in on your phone with a code, and it's like trivia, and you'll draw something on your phone, and just like kind of fun, easy games to just jump on and play if you've got nothing better to do than hang out with us. The Discord events page also has the proper YouTube channel for each stream, because we use two. This one is the @Live Bible Study, and that's where the canonical study is, and that's where the extra canonical study is. But the topic discussion happens on a different YouTube channel. It's my personal YouTube channel, and that's @TattooedTheist. And I'll put that in the chat. But one thing I'm doing, because I've been very MIA from YouTube and inconsistent for a very long time, but something I think I'm going to start doing, and have already started doing, is like all the study that I do in private, I think I'm just going to start like publishing it and just recording a short sometimes, and sometimes a longer video of my individual notes that I take. Because the way I approach it is like something bugs me, or I have a question, or I want clarity on something. And so I make that an individual like document. And then the document becomes me running through it. So recently I did 16 contradictions in the New Testament, in the Gospels specifically. The longer ending to Mark, it's not actually a secret. That's just clickbait. Your Bible probably tells you that it's added. But we went over that. It was interesting. Sola Scriptura and some of the problems I see with it, but I also supported it because I'm the fence sitter as far as a lot of theological stuff goes. And then the biblical errors, that is 1 Corinthians 14, 34 and 35, where we have manuscripts that have the verses in different places, and there is a theological and church implication for which one you agreed to. So I did that the other day. And then today I did the virgin birth, which was a lot of fun and very interesting. So I will post that at some point in the next couple of days. But I think I'm just going to keep doing that because I can stand to do it because I'm already doing it. I just have to record after I finish. And then live Bible study, we're doing all this stuff that you're watching right now. And that's been a blast. We did Adam and Eve, not Genesis, but the actual books of Adam and Eve. There are two of them. We just finished Genesis. We did the Epic of Gilgamesh if you want to catch up on any of that stuff. But it's been a great time. But Discord is the most important part. Join Discord. Thanks, Mikkel. I feel bad because I never get anywhere with it, right? I just like poke holes in everything and then walk away. That's kind of my route of of doing this type of stuff, which makes me feel bad, but it's just who I am. I'm just never convinced of anything. And then people don't like it. There is always somebody who accuses me of taking a stance on something, and I just didn't. I just like proposed ideas or pointed out issues. That's all I can really bear to do. I am just a little mousy in my little housey. Love your spirit. I'll be back. That's hilarious. Well, glad you're here. Love ya. And hope you come to the Discord if you haven't already. Poking holes. All about poking them holes. And I feel this is going to go down the wrong path. Just do your study it live. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. It's just a time thing. Like we do 3 of these a week. But I have been thinking about doing something else. But we'll see. But at least they're recorded so you can go do that and then come do these with us. But what? Where do dinosaurs come from? How did they evolve? Does microevolution transform in macroevolution? These are good questions. I'm not the guy. I have opinions, but they're not nearly as backed by scholarly work as many of my other opinions. I'm not the evolution, origin, new creation, old creation guy. It's not me. I think adaptation is pretty obvious. The rest is over my head because I don't really care. It's not something that I personally struggle with. I think the how or the why of like how we got here, what that looked like, are we old or new? I just have never really cared personally. But maybe I should, just so I can develop some kind of coherent argument for it. But I just don't feel it matters, to be honest. Grave says, you look like a lumberjack right now. I don't think I've ever wore this shirt on the stream. She stole this shirt from me for like months. So I think it's that I just got it back. Maybe that's why. I just shared your study with my good friend in Yahweh Yeshua, Jesus Christ, and Truthers groups. I don't know what that is, but I appreciate it. Genuinely, I do. Thank you, Joe, for the time you put in reading to us, not to mention the dialogue. Anytime. I love reading to you guys. I love reading when I'm not a good out loud reader, and I love reading when I'm not good at pronouncing things. And I'm very grateful Ghost is quietly sitting in the background to rudely interrupt me and tell me I said something wrong. Genuinely, I'm very glad. He helps me not look stupid. Same, my friend
You're
bought a...
definitely not stupid, Joe.
I'm stupid with pronunciation, and I'm not ashamed of it. It is what it is. I never did out loud reading.
Character.
It adds character. You know, getting publicly embarrassed has been very good for me. It's been very positive. It reminds me of like my early preaching days. It's been good stuff.
You could potentially bring people to the channel. You're the guy who pronounces things wrong. So
That's true. It could be like a thing.
it's like a gimmick.
It needs to become a meme. That's what we need to do. The guy who can't pronounce anything but decides to read the Bible publicly online anyways. That could become a thing for sure. King said, say my friend brought up old and new world theory, and frankly, I just don't care. It holds no biblical importance, in my opinion. I agree. And now I'm going to say something that's really going to hurt some people's feelings. I feel it is the same as like the virgin birth concept. I don't feel it's theologically important, but it requires explanation. So I'll post that video in a couple days. If what I go over in the video is true, then I find it entirely irrelevant. If I'm wrong, if the people that I listen to are smarter than me, who I believe are wrong, then it could theologically matter, and then I'm screwed. But it's very interesting. It's very interesting stuff. But either way, the origin thing, I just don't care. I just don't care. It doesn't change anything. Like, it's an interesting thing. And if I knew somebody who like really knew about it, I would love to have that conversation with them, just to be schooled. But I just, with the limited hours in the day, it's just not something I'm going to listen to on my own time. Pure Blood, you've been lovely. I hope you decide to stay around. I like your little, I don't know if that'd be a quip, but your interjections have been very nice. Pronunciation means nothing. I agree with that. What a true, valid statement. Claps for David. It's true though, but it means something when you're trying to get people to understand what you're saying. That's for sure. And it means something when it clogs up the reading. Then it kind of does. My problem is I just never read out loud. So like preaching, I never used notes, so I memorized it. So if I had to learn how to say something, I learned. And then I've always just read everything. I'm like never had to read out loud, never had to do any of that. So to be honest, I think most of like names and stuff, I just read over them. Like I knew what they looked like. So I just like I had my brain connected to the way the word looked, and I just ignored it. And I never realized I did that until we started doing this. I'm like, wow. It's super embarrassing. I think you love it when we poke holes, then it gives him an opportunity to answer our questions. I agree with that. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I'm a chimp, just copy pasting. Blessings. I don't care. It's still good stuff. At least you're not doing what other people have done. Not to name names, Joseph II. Reading out loud is very good. Proverbs 25:2. Thanks for sharing them. Copy paste. All right. I'm going to go eat with the girls and then go to sleep. If you haven't joined Discord, join Discord. Click the link. Join. It's free. It will always be free. 100%. Always. 2 YouTube channels. This one at Live Bible Study and my other one because we do streams on both. So I'll put that in here again. That is where I'm also doing those other videos if that interests you. But join Discord above absolutely everything because that's the thing. From there, all waters flow, I guess I would say. I love y'all very much. Ghost, have a lovely night, sir.
Oh, yeah. Have a good night. Have a good night, everyone.
Later. Oh, and do YouTube stuff, everybody, please. When I shut it off, leave a random comment. Do something. Help us grab more people. I love you guys.